Let's try that again. Hello, everybody. I should actually be live now. My bad. I was testing out my hotkeys last night in an attempt to make my live stream look better, which you have just been a first-hand witness to. So, I just made the live stream public again, and hopefully you guys can actually see me now. There we are. Perfect. Hi, everybody. Thank you for your patience, and, well, I do believe you guys will slowly filter in on your own time. Right, you'll find out where I am. So, let's actually talk about Bitcoin, yeah? How's everybody doing today? I need comments. I need to hear how you are. I need to hear how your lives are. And most importantly, I had a really funny idea that I want to tell you guys about before we get this live stream going. I have an idea to make a hat in, like a baseball cap, in the signature Trump red. And the description is going to say, make America what it ought to be. Okay? Right? Everybody knows what that symbolizes, or rather what everybody thinks it symbolizes, right? It's not exactly the most wholesome message in the American public's eye, right? However, if you think about what America ought to be, that's actually a quote from Martin Luther King. He said it in his last speech before he got assassinated, right? Make America what it ought to be. And so I'm curious, and this is all hypothetical, if you were wearing this hat, it would be an excellent bait and switch for hatred, if you will. I would be very interested to see who would be willing to spit in my food for a Martin Luther King quote, right? Oh, man. That's like, I would be no better than, like those women march people who wander around without tops on and then declare it's the patriarchy's fault when they get yelled at, right? I wouldn't be much better than them. But it's a funny idea, and I do need to point out I am independent, right? I don't exactly support either of the American parties right now. But it would be such a good bait and switch for hatred. It would really point out some of the bigotry of hating out someone else and acting on that hatred for someone else's ideals, except you don't even understand that the person's ideals that you're hating on is actually agreeing with you, right? I don't know, it makes you think, right, about this political climate. It's pretty scary stuff. Okay, with no further ado, let's actually record this trading view idea. But that's what I think about in the shower. We need to talk about what's been happening on Bitcoin today and just how little of what's been happening. And really, that's what makes most interesting about this chart is what isn't happening, okay? So, of course, if we stop from the macro to micro, weekly to daily, we'll notice, yeah, we are still defining a downward trend, right? As long as we're below the bottom edge of the 250 distribution, which it actually won't load up on this chart, so we're not going there right now, right? So if we're loading up that 250 distribution on the daily, for instance, right, we're going to use that as our definition of trend, right? And as long as we're below it, we're technically in a defined downward trend. And as long as we are in that defined downward trend, breaking the weekly 200 moving average on the weekly is still possible, right? Since once that pivot is broken, right, this pivot right here, at the bottom edge of the 250 band, it implies lateral trading as defined by that period, right? And that's exactly what we'll most likely see, is lateral trading as defined by the period, and really it can go wherever it wants inside that band, right? However, the only scenario where we're going to break that 200 moving average on the weekly chart is if we stay in a state of downward trend beneath the 250 band, right? Because as long as we're below it, we're in a state of trend. And the only way we're going to break below the weekly 250 moving average is if we stay in that state of trend. So as long as Bitcoin is below this bottom edge, we can still break the 250 band, or the 200 moving average on the weekly, excuse me. However, as soon as we re-enter this band, that scenario goes off the table for at least 10 months, right? Because we cannot re-expand the longest overexpanded period until that period has a mass reading below the 0.7 level. And let me tell you something. This longest overexpanded period of mass right here, right, the 250 band, that's going to take a long time to radiate back down to the green levels that we want to see, at least for trend continuation, right? So think about this. If the only scenario for us to break downward beneath the 200 weekly moving average is through a sustained place of trend, right? That downward break beneath that pivot is only going to be possible if we stay beneath there. When we re-enter, we're going to see that lateral mean reversion. Breaking the 200 moving average is no longer going to be possible, right? Because we will trade laterally as defined by that compressing period. Then, right, once we actually have that period of long-term compression where we see this nice, beautiful band shed all of its mass, right? The shedding of mass is the restoring of potential energy. Once we're all the way over here after a nice bit of lateral trading and we have a lot of potential energy, well, that's just met the conditions for market bottom, didn't it? Right? Sure, we have the potential energy to move further down, but a period of reduced price volatility and volume on top of an institutional benchmark is really what defines any kind of upward break from that point, right? So think about this. We need to break the 200 moving average pretty soon if we plan on actually having a long-term bear market here, or at least continuing the long-term bear market. What's even more important to realize is that once these mean reversion pivots are crossed, it's really going to cement Bitcoin in through a state of lateral trading for the rest of the year. Okay. Compression as defined by the longest overexpanded period is insanely consistent, right? And that's actually one of the reasons my two recent calls I've actually been on that basic theory, right? If we look at BAT, right, the longest overexpanded period was 200. 200 is the purple band. It's near impossible for price to be pushed outside the purple band while there's excessive mass for that period. So what happens? Price trades laterally as defined by that purple band, right? Same thing happening on USD CAD, right? So our longest overexpanded period was 110, right through here, right? And then price is trading laterally as defined by that longest overexpanded period. Like, look at this. We are respecting the top edge of that band perfectly. This, I need to really update this. This trade is still active. We are still in the defined mean reversion pivots, right? This is one of the interesting things about the strategy. You could have implied mean reversion, but because of the upward slope of the top edge of the distribution, right, it's going to come up and retest that a few more times. And this is still enables that mean reversion and lateral trading as defined by the band. You know, your risk management, your profit ratio is just not getting as good as it used to be. Right? That's why I actually have a range for the stop loss here. So again, now let's actually take a look at the shorter time frames. Okay, because we actually need to talk about the longest overexpanded period here on the 4-hour chart, right? Because what's happening down here is just as important what's happening on the macro time frames, at least for defining trend, right? In this scenario, our longest overexpanded period is the 60 band. Okay, Bitcoin is about to get very not bullish very quickly. Okay, like this is going to be insane. Well, let me just point out why. Okay, this 60 band that we just loaded up, this teal band, this light blue band. Okay, if we re-enter this band, we will, without a doubt, revert to the 60 moving average. Okay, write this down, load up this indicator on your chart, just a Bollinger Band on the 1.25 standard deviation on the 60 period. If we re-enter this band, we will go exactly to the 60 moving average. However, this is also the definition of trend right now. As long as we stay outside this band, trend is defined. Okay? I need to turn this into another trading view idea. Just like defining this pivot to perfection is going to be very important for us. Okay. Yeah, it's really all I have to say today. As long as we stay outside this band, we're in a state of upward trend. As soon as we return inside, upward trend is over, and it's possible that we could retest the weekly 200 average once more. Okay. So this upward break here, it's nice, it's clean. However, we're directly on top of that pivot for trend, and we need to be very careful with it. Okay, it's a clean chart, my friends. That's all I have to say today. Dad Shark out. Very nice. Good stuff. Super. PPT. Yeah, I can deal with that. Let's do it. Yeah, we have so many coins with strong breakouts right now. If you're looking at a chart like this, I don't really recommend it, right? This has had no reaction to the recent bullish events. And really, in this kind of scenario, just wait for trend to begin. There's low volatility overhead, a lot of potential energy, right? But if you're betting on potential energy, it's still a coin toss because direction is not implied. And even we're getting a pretty moderate wave PM signal. It's actually pretty weak. Yeah, actually, it's okay. There's net expansion to the downside, which does imply that support will be broken. I would stay away from this chart right now. Okay? Let me get a glass of water real quick. I'm going to make you look at the AppCoin chart. Why? Well, because I got a bag full of it. Woo! 1 second. I decided to make some oats. Yeah, we just lost fewer viewers while I did that. That's funny. Okay, I'm back. Hi. Thank you for your patience. I probably chose a pretty bad time to do that, you know. Viewer attention is more important than getting oats. Anyway, I have a bag full of AppCoin. I'm pretty happy with myself. Yeah, I was just betting on the continuation of trend on the daily chart. Right, which is a pretty risky thing to do, but, you know, when the upward slope is there and the profit ratio is as good as it was, I took it, right? I didn't actually think it would hit, I'm going to be honest. And I've been sitting in this for quite a few days. I just took the CCI roll on the daily chart, that's it. Right, well, think about this. If you have this kind of compressing range and you have no volatility overhead at all, where everything is an ice compressed period, guess what you gotta wait for, my friends? You can just take the CCI rolls down and the CCI rolls up in that range to scalp it, okay? And that's exactly where we are. Right, we have this beautiful scalpable range, and honestly, I might sell here because of the rejection from the daily 200. I might discard a majority of the position. And there's something a little different is happening this time, though. We're actually maintaining buying pressure at the top. Right here. I mean, we're getting the red candle close inside the 3.2. Yeah, that is a take profit signal. But conditions are much different this time. and anyone who's taken my lessons knows exactly why. Pen, what's the condition that changed this time that actually allowed this to be a sustainable trend? Go ahead and answer that in the comments. Tell me what you think. I'm going to go get my oats. What do you think? What's the change in signal? Tell me what you see, guys. Come on. Nothing, Ben? Okay. Well, I'm just going to give the answer away now. It's the wave PM cross. Right there. Right, we have new net expansion, we have the default wave PM cross, which implies that sustainable trending is about to ensue. So I could take short-term profit right here. However, why would I want to? If long-term sustainable trending is implied, right, it's just a typical wave PM cross. That's it. Right, that's going to get us a nice sustainable trend. So I got really nice entry right over here. Right, because there was low volatility overhead. I was expecting the range to continue on the daily. But now we're actually getting the signs of the beginning of trend, and that convinces me that it might be in my best interest to stay in the position. Right, because after I took profit way too soon on BNB, I'm not as inclined to, with the market condition, I think it might just be better to actually let the range play out. Right? Or rather, to let the trend play out, right? As long as we get a definition of trend, I think I might stay in this. Right? Obviously, the entry's gone. There's no longer a good entry, but the chart looks great. So that's why I'm in AppCoin. I also have a small bag of ZRX. Right? Oh, really? CCI roll? Nah, called CCI implies trend continuation. I was just hoping for a quick mean inversion after this condition hit. But I might need to discard that if we go any lower. All right, as soon as we get some new downward expansion on that 50 band, I'm going to stop out of that. That's a lot higher risk than I usually do, but profit ratios are really quite there. Wow, you guys haven't really given me any coins to do today. Okay, well, I'm going to do one more of my choice, and then I'll be on my way, because it's a quiet day. Oh, fucking. Remember when let's go over MTL, because it's my fault for not calling it. Especially after it was such a good chart. It was just so obvious. God damn it. Right, we considered entering right here. I should have fucking called it. Okay. 20%, okay. And then we actually had the secondary entry last night right there. And I just, with the same wave PM cross that we saw in AppCoin, like, it's just too good. Okay, friends. Since I'm not seeing any really final comments here, I'm going to be done for today. It's been a quiet day. It's a Monday morning. I can't do anything about that. All right, folks, it's been a pleasure. I will talk to you all tomorrow. Same time, 1 p.m. about your question. I'm just going to talk over the music here. Good question about USD CAD and mean reversion. Is the risk-reward ratio stuck there on a trade like that, given the aggressive curve in most overextended period? Yeah, it is. I mean, mean reversion's going to hit, right? It's going to hit the mean reversion. But, you know, as that slowly tinkles higher up through that longest overextended period like this here.
Why I somehow cannot transform.
Right. This is not the most sustainable moves as it trickles up along the top edge of the band.
We should be different. I'm not.
You know, mean reversion's still implied. Right, just because your risk reward ratio is getting worse doesn't mean it's still a 90% probability of hitting. Okay, this was fun, folks. I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you.
But everybody, you see, who is at all sensitive and awake to their own problems and human problems, is trying to change himself. We know we can't change the world unless we change ourselves.